Real-life stories narrated from the experiences of R2K. The Omen's Arrival Part 1. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting moon shadows across the village, my friend and I anxiously awaited his father's return with the Guru. The encroaching darkness seemed to mirror the growing unease that settled over us. My friend, noticing the deepening twilight, suggested I head home, but I couldn't bring myself to abandon him. "I'll wait until your dad arrives," I said, trying to mask my own creeping fear. Finally, around 7:30 p.m., the sound of engines broke the silence as two cars pulled into the driveway. Relief washed over me as I watched several men emerge. My friend hurried to his father, asking why they were late while I followed closely behind. His father, however, was fixated on an elderly man, who I assumed was the Guru. The train was delayed by over an hour, his father explained before introducing his son to the Guru. The old man offered a faint smile and asked about his studies. The Guru wasn't what I had imagined. I had expected a sage-like figure, perhaps draped in robes, but this man wore a simple shirt and pant, looking surprisingly modern and active despite his age. A faint smile never left his face, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. After a brief exchange with my friend, the Guru turned his attention to me. I raised my hand in a feeble greeting, but no words came out. My friend introduced me, mentioning how I had stayed to support him. The Guru approached, placing a hand on my shoulder. "It's rare to find such loyal friends these days," he remarked, his voice calm yet carrying an unsettling weight. He shook my hand, his gaze lingering on me for what felt like an eternity. Then, without warning, he reached for my hand, as if to examine my palm. Startled, I instinctively pulled away. The Guru's smile faded, replaced by a look of quiet intensity. My friend's father urged me to trust him, but I stammered something about my mother warning me never to show my palms to anyone. The Guru chuckled softly, nodding in agreement. "She's right," he said. "Your palm holds secrets that could either protect you or be used against you by those who know how to read them." A chill ran down my spine at his words. I forced a nervous smile, feeling an overwhelming urge to leave. My friend's father asked why the rituals couldn't be performed tonight, but the Guru insisted on assessing the cousin's condition first. "Depending on what I find, I'll conduct the necessary rituals tomorrow," he explained, his eyes flickering toward me. Then, almost as an afterthought, he asked me to bring a shirt I had worn all day. "Why me?" I blurted out, my fear evident. The Guru laughed, assuring me it was just to check if I had been affected by anything from being there. "It's merely a precaution," he added. My friend's father asked if my presence was necessary, but the Guru declined, not wanting to risk my involvement. "You're a good friend," he said, "but I don't want you getting caught up in something that isn't your burden to bear." Reluctantly, I agreed. That's when I noticed the men who had arrived with the Guru were carrying large, heavy sacks. It felt like a scene straight out of a horror movie, and my curiosity battled with the overwhelming fear that urged me to run. As they entered the house, I hesitated outside, half expecting something dramatic to happen. Maybe the cousin would scream in pain, or perhaps she would attack the Guru. My imagination ran wild. The door opened, and I caught a glimpse of my friend's cousin lying on her mother's lap, looking exhausted and frail. Dark circles marred her eyes, and she appeared as if she hadn't eaten in days. Suddenly she looked up, her gaze moving from the Guru to us. For a moment, I thought she was looking directly at me, but her eyes were fixed on my friend's father. Then she began to cry. The door closed, and her wails grew louder. My friend urged me to leave, and I agreed. As I walked home in the darkness, the image of his cousin's tear-streaked face haunted me. The fear surged within me, and I broke into a run, not stopping until I was safely inside my house. My mother noticed my disheveled state and asked what had happened. I brushed it off with a lie about racing with friends. Later, after a shower and a quick dinner, I went to bed, but sleep wouldn't come. The Guru's words kept echoing in my mind. He wanted to ensure nothing had affected me. What had he seen? Was it related to the strange occurrences at my own home? I couldn't shake the unease, so I went to the living room, where my parents were watching TV. I cautiously mentioned my friend's cousin, and the arrival of the guru, leaving out the part about visiting their house. My father responded, in every religion, there are those who help and those who harm. It's all a kind of science, but only a few truly understand it, and at a great cost. What cost, I asked, but my father didn't know. He mentioned hearing something similar from one of his father's friends, who had dabbled in the same mysterious practices. The revelation stunned me. My grandfather had been involved with such people? It couldn't be a coincidence. My father's words triggered a flood of thoughts. If my grandfather had associated with these people, then he must have known something about the house, something that lurked in the shadows. Perhaps the old man's warnings to my father had been more than just stories. I was convinced now that something was deeply wrong with this house, and my grandfather had known it. But I wasn't going to let it go. I was determined to uncover the truth, and the guru was where I would start my search for answers.